Okay, so it's almost 6. Oh, there was a couple things I wanted to say, because one of the things because I hadn't finished about the dress yesterday, how this whole thing came about with, Morty, which is, so anyways, I had this dress on my mind, and, it was weird because I was watching Saturday Night Fever and I started picturing these outfit that my mom had. And I was thinking, I wonder if she still has that. And so I had messaged her and, on one of the 70s disco outfit. And she was saying that she didn't think she had any of those anymore. I know she's given stuff away throughout because I have a few things. But anyways, so we started talking, and I don't know, it must have been, I started asking about that dress that I used to wear out, because I had the one that I had bought at a vintage store, but I had this other one. These two dresses, like I had other clothes, this wasn't the only things I wore, but these two dresses were really, really cool. And one of them was my grandma's. It was like back in the 40s and stuff, they didn't have a ton of dresses, like a woman, excuse me, this is Rumps. So she, like they would have like one or two dresses that they would wear everywhere. And so she had, I have this whole thing of the wardrobe thing going. At some point, some women started having more dresses, but it's nothing like what we have now. Most of the women didn't have they didn't have a bunch of, kind of like how some people have a tux now. It's like they had, it seems that they had, uh, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it because like women primarily wore dresses, but they didn't have a whole ton of dresses, especially ones that were really nice. And so this dress, what are you doing, Max? He's doing that to something on the TV, supposedly. Or there's something else in here. I don't know. He's looking over there. Dude, just leave it. Just leave it. And then, so anyways, this dress came up with my mom. And then she said, oh, I remember that dress because my stepsister wore it to my sister's wedding. And so she was saying I let her borrow it, but she never gave it back. And then, so then and this sister went into some kind of crisis. I don't know. I don't know if she decided, she decided she didn't like my mom anymore, but then she decided she didn't like any of us because I have no idea what she went through, but she kind of cut everybody off and went to this other side of her family and kind of blew all of us off. And they were raised, when my mom married my stepdad, all his kids were really little. It was a whole thing. I've talked about it before. It was the whole thing, and my mom it was just a lot of stuff, and it was everything to me was a lot because I could see things that were going to happen. I knew what was going to happen from everything, and it was like I don't know. That can be a wild ride through life when you can see how everything's going to play out, and you can't get people like. And it's part of my lessons. It's not for me to go in and play God. Max, what the fuck, dude? Let me try putting on a different thing. It's just that the screensaver thing or whatever. I don't know if it's bugging him. What the heck in hell, dude? So, anyways, I was talking to my mom and she sent me pictures from my sister's wedding. I was like, yeah, that's the dress. And so then she said, I should ask my sister. And so I asked my sister because I was trying to see if somebody had still contact. I asked my other stepsister too because I thought maybe she still had contact, but she even blew off her. But this sister still has contact with our family. Like she recognizes this is, her family she grew up in. And so, we're all close. Like she's close with my kids and stuff because she's younger. And so anyways, I had asked her if she still had contact. and nobody was having contact. So I went on Facebook to, because somebody told me, well, she's on Facebook, and she had posted, oh, one of my daughters, because I was saying, have you seen her on Instagram or Facebook or anything? Because I know my kids are still on there. And she said, yeah, she had just posted. And so I messaged her on Messenger, and she still hasn't responded. She's not saying anything. But in the conversation, talking to my sister said she still has the other dress. She has my black dress. And she said that, because her stuff's in storage, because like I talked about before, she had gone homeless, and there was a whole pattern. It had developed between my brother. My brother is like, he's the youngest, and he plays like a rescuer, and he is well off. Him and his wife, are really well off and stuff. But he does get into this rescue, and that's how I could see things playing out too. Not just in his, but all over the place. Like I just see these things. And that the person who does that becomes resentful, and it really handicaps the person that you're constantly rescuing. And so it's a toxic pattern. So of course people are gonna, you create a dependency. So anyways, I had called him out on that, and it had irritated him. But after that, I mean, when I talked to my sister last, she had told me that she hadn't had to borrow money for my brother in a year. So she's doing really, really good. But it's like, you have to let people save themselves. You have to let people fall and figure out how to, that's growth. You can't step in to someone's consequences and stop their consequences because they're not learning or growing. So you're handicapping them, and then you're becoming this savior complex. Like everybody needs you, everybody's got to have you, and that's pressure because your soul is telling you back off. Like, you're doing this. It's not them. You got to look at yourself. It seems to be such a difficult thing, too, for people to look at themselves, which I will talk about in a sec. But let me finish this story because I still haven't even got to the dog thing. So it was when I went on to Facebook to do the messenger, the first thing that popped up was the forum for the rescue. And it said that we just got in a truckload of dogs from Vegas, and so we need some people, fosters. And so I said, well, I could take one, because that's like in an emergency when they're getting all these dogs. It's like, okay, well, I'll help out. And so that is where I said, like, it came to me. And so then I talked to a couple different girls, and then it ended up being the same girl I was talking to that I got Max from. And so she knew Max, and she knew, the stuff more like, what I wanted to bring into the house. She's got a whole fucking shit ton because they just dumped the truckload at her house. And so none of these dogs, like, she didn't know any of them. She didn't know their behaviors. They don't have names. And that's why I said, like, the name thing. So so she was sending me pictures. First, she sent me a picture of this really cute little young pug, but he hasn't been fixed. And that is so many appointments for me to have to be driving to go for an hour, because that was all day yesterday for me to go get this dog. And so to go and drive to go to the vets and stuff for these appointments, it's like, and she already knew that, because the people who are knowing who I am know that I live out away from all of this stuff, because most of the stuff is around Seattle where the appointments are, and in the rescue stuff. So anyways, she had sent me that, and so she goes, well, let me check and see how fast I can get him in for the surgery. So it was kind of like, well, we'll see. But I was still thinking, oh, he's so cute. But see, I don't want to just fall in love with one, but then look at how things turn. So this is, because I feel like I'm good. Stella and Max, they get along really good. They're so cute together. Oh my God. The way because he really does so well at figuring out how to train. Like, and Stella is very good at training. And then, so he has good boundaries with me and her and stuff. But he also is just well behaved. It's just an internal thing for him. He's like, I don't know, he's a more advanced spirit than definitely what people think of as just, oh, it's a dumb animal. And so he, and he'll go and he'll figure out like to get next to Stella, and he'll trot next to her, and he's like watching out, like he'll go up ahead a little and watch out. He's just so, and if she gets upset about something, he'll run over and be like, and if she's sniffing something, he'll go over. It's the cutest thing. They're like this little team. And so I was kind of like bringing in another one when these two are just really, because they haven't like cuddled yet. They haven't like gone and lain, but they've gotten close to where their paws are touching. It's a whole thing to watch this stuff with animals. And so anyways, in the conversation, she had said that she was going to check and see. And so that's how it was left. Then she messaged me and in a group chat, and then it was this other one that I could come get this one. This one was ready to go. He's really calm, mild-mannered. He's just like an old dog. And so that's where I was like, oh, fuck. Like an old dog. Because, when you foster them, they're on these websites for adoption. Well, there is so many dogs. Like, I'll share a video that I saw yesterday because I was talking to this lady when I went there, because, I'm so, like, close to fucking kill shelters, which I'm still close to kill shelters. But, so what is going on, Crystal, is, so it's not just like this place is got a thing with Vegas. It's like all these different rescues have to set up relationships in this system. And it's very, when you go and talk to these people, and I'm seeing it online and stuff, it's very toxic. It's very, it's like an anti-social. Is it like working against us? It's working against the people that are trying to save the animals. It's very toxic, this whole thing that we've got going with the animals. And so it's a big part that's got to break down and break apart of our society, of what we've developed into. And so, which I just saw, oh my gosh, I just saw two really interesting videos. But I'm going to go all over the place just a second. Let me get back on there. But when she had sent me the picture of this dog, and I saw, he's old, and I was like, how old is he? And she was like, he's, nobody knows. He just was another one picked up off the Vegas streets, is the only information they have on him. And so when I looked at him, I was like, he looks like a little old man, like this same grumpy face. He's even got this underbite with these little tiny, tiny teeth. And so I was like, yeah, he's Morty. And so I said, what's his name? And she said that they didn't even have any name info, and they have to name them, like, to get them in the system. And some of them come with names that the Humane Society used, but that's just a name plate that they used for the animal. It's not like these animals come and tell them, hey, my name's blah, blah, blah. Like, I've gone through so many names to see if Max responds. I'm doing them in other languages. I'm doing everything, trying to come up with different names, and he doesn't respond to any, but so I just keep training him on Max. And so when I said, well, she said that she was having a meeting, getting more information the next day. And I said, well, if you can request a name, request Morty. And so then when I came, that's what his name is now, Morty. He looks like a Morty. It's like, Morty. Why Morty? I was having so much fun because he was crying the whole way from the place. He was crying and crying like he was leaving his fucking family behind or something. I even messaged her. I said, did he have a dog that he hung out with a lot or something? She said, no, he was a loner. He just stayed off to himself. He just laid around. He didn't want to be bothered. And so then he comes here, though, and he's like, yeah, he doesn't want to be bothered. He's a little bit more growly. he has been drinking water, like where it's like, is this guy diabetic or something? But then he just goes and just stands and pees in the house. I was like, what? So now I've got those dog band things, so I'm putting those on, and I just got to start seeing on top of that. But on the old thing, I was like, there's no people out there that are just going looking for this funny looking little dog who's old, who, is for sure going to probably have some kind of health issues. Now he has been drinking a lot of the copper water, and I swear to God, this morning he was less gray. And he has very cloudy, big bulging eyes that are really cloudy. And I'm going to be watching and seeing if that cloudiness goes away too. Yesterday he was out. I have this big painting and I had nowhere to put it. So I have this greenhouse. It didn't work out as a greenhouse. So it's kind of like a little art place back there. It has this big painting in there. He stood out there barking and barking and barking at these painting of the back of these ladies. It's like, oh my God. So I don't know about his bark is funny too. But I was like, okay, well, I guess Morty's probably here to stay because who's gonna take the little guy? And it's like, so, but I don't know. It's like when things come to you, and I have seen where some people have done these fosters for these elderly dogs, and at least on the fostering thing, see, that's the purpose. Is like I'm not responsible for his medical. Like I'm responsible for all Max's medical, but I'm doing all natural. But see, in their system, which is got so much about with vet, like it's so much light. Oh, it's so atrocious, like this whole thing, what we got going. That's why it's got to break down. And why I was saying we got to close down the kill shelters. And this lady was saying it's so bad right now that they are having to have, they're having to use like arenas and stuff for housing all of these dogs. And right after she told me that, so when I got home and I was looking on TikTok, just looking, not looking for that. I wasn't searching, but right away it just popped right up, and it was like an arena, and there was a adoption event, and it was just cage after cage after cage after cage after cage. I couldn't believe it, of all these dogs. And then there's a few people walking around. So there's like, 100 dogs to one person or something. Like, I don't know what the fuck, how things got so out of control. But yeah, we're in a crisis. And and so, yeah, I think some people are like, well, what are we going to do? And to me, it's like, we got to just allow them to go out and just survive for themselves. Like they have the right to life and liberty and freedom just like we do. They're living souls. Why do we think that we have control over them? Because we domesticated them. But, and then we can also do it, like I said, like in a step down, like certain communities, like, okay, well, certain communities, we're going to take, this 100 dogs and get them all fixed so we don't pile on more dogs, which right there is, that's like us overstepping. But it's like we created this problem. And and even if it wasn't each and every one of us, it just it's a part of the problems of what we've got to see. And it's such a big problem. And so on these rescues, so all the cities, so everybody has got these rescues around them. And I had just seen this one that was called that. Like when you go in and you look, it's a complex thing. And even the ridiculousness of where they want people to pay these $500 and $600 adoption fees. It's like, if you were more giving the dogs, or there has to be something, like we got to do some step down stuff, because I think the government should be out of our thing, and licenses and stuff is bullshit. But there's got to be more responsible for taking pets. We can't have just all this irresponsible, like people have got. And this is the tragic circumstances that are going to have us see so much more clearly. But so we've got thousands of homeless dogs, and so these places are putting them down. So all these different rescues have popped up. Well, rescues are usually centered like around a breed, and so it isn't like every city is probably, every city is not, or probably not even every state is going to have the rescue for pugs. And so, because I've looked up like English Mastiff and rescue, and like there's one in Oregon. So it isn't like all these different places have like every rescue. So there's people who love a certain kind of animal, and then they don't want them to be put down in the shelters. And so they start, there's like, I don't know, like a forum or something. And so of animals that come in. And so certain rescues will drive down to the shelters and they will take all of a certain kind of dog, but they have to like set these things up. And so this is what one of the problems is some of these intake shelter things are not doing their part. They're not giving the people the animals. And so the people are going there trying to rescue them and they're killing them. And so there's all these videos that are being made about us. So anyways, that is, in Vegas, well, the thing about Vegas, Texas, Southern California, there's a few places that are in such a huge crisis. LA, they're in such a huge crisis with the animal thing. And like, whether it's like they're having these events where there's thousands of dogs to be adopted and stuff. And so the, um, so, and I don't know. Apparently, ours isn't as bad in Washington State, but I know it's still bad. Like, I know we still have animals dumped, and I'm sure our shelter's too crowded. But I had even tried to look and see, but I don't know if they're not posting the pictures because there's just too many coming. And one of the videos I had seen yesterday that was started to say, and I forgot, was this woman who had said that she, about all the people who are just going and taking their animals in. So they created this crisis by telling everybody now you can't have dogs when you rent. So they want us all to rent, and then they want more control, more control. Then pretty soon it's, well, you're only allowed one kid. Well, you're only allowed that, it's just how much will we take? How much before we say, fuck off? And I'm so glad when I see these people doing these videos saying that nobody will rent to them, and then they've had to go homeless, but they have to choose their pets. So they're living in their cars, they're living in campers, they're living out in the wilderness, all sorts of stuff because of that. And so this woman said that, and she's one of these rescue people, so she's got these, there's a huge bunch of bullshit going on. And so she said that all these people are coming and bringing their pets and thinking that their pets are going to be adopted really quick. And she said, you need to stop. You need to realize what's really going on. Usually within a couple hours, the ones that are surrendered are put euthanasia. She said they're not adopting your pets to other people. Those are the first ones to go. And because the ones when they go and they catch them on the street, they have to do a hold. They have to have them sit in there and find out if the owner wants them, if there's anyone who's going to claim them. And that's the other thing too. There's so much chaos going that like these two little Vegas guys here, they could be somebody's. And I've gone on and tried to look. And if somebody's pets, because I see these other videos, these people are going and traveling and stuff and leaving dogs with dog sitters and even Rover. People's pets are getting killed. They're going missing, all sorts of stuff. And so they hold them at these places. But that one woman who was looking for her dogs, she said that there's so many that you go around, you can't even find all the places that they can be held. And then they just move them really quick because rescues come really quick. And the rescues come really quick because they're going to put them down if they don't. And so then the rescues, because I've heard these different stories from different perspectives, and it builds your perspective when you hear another story and then you see this side, this side, this side, this side. Because I was really feeling bad for the woman whose dogs had got taken out of her mom's yard. Especially because hers were a type of Mastiff, an expensive, I don't remember which type, but it was an expensive dog. And then, and they're really cool looking. And so they were in her parents' yard, fenced yard, and then somebody came and took them. And then it ended up being the shelter thing. But see, I think there's scams going because everything develops scams. And I think that there is some that are out there thieving expensive dogs because there's been a few that I have seen some rescuers bring some dogs. Sometimes it's just like they're showing this really beautiful dog. And then people are like, that's a rare breed. That is an expensive dog. That's not just some they start telling them, you need to go and look. Somebody's missing this dog. And so there's more people who are saying that because, like, somebody who goes and buys the dog like that is not going to surrender it or whatever. And so they're taking them, and then they're, I don't know, they're getting them to certain, because the breeding and the breeding was so corrupt, the backyard breeders, but there's some that just easily slipped into being uh, rescue so they can get first hands on some of these animals and see a lot of them come without being altered already, so then they can go to certain places where they're still, low key, because some of these dogs and stuff, like the one where I do the rescue, they have French bulldogs, pugs, and they're like full-blooded animals, and see, and then they come. So there's people who are like, well, we're gonna make some money off that. And I saw a video the other day of these French bulldogs, and I said they've gone another level. And these were like albino curly ones, and they've called them something. It's like they are just making so many health issues. That's the big thing with the French bulldogs, that they've got so many health issues because these people keep trying to go more and more about, look at like it's a toy or something, and it's got more and more health issues. Like albinos have a lot of health issues. My first mother-in-law, she was into dog breeding. They were dog showers and stuff, not just dog breeding, like, here, let's have a dog and sell him at the corner. No, people who are into dog shows, that's a whole nother level of breeding. That's like we go into big money. And hers was boxers. And she told me that a lot of the people, they will do that little puppy in as soon as it's birthed, because it fucks up their line. So they just, like, she said, it's like, I don't know, I think that's where they get this thing about pinching your head off. They just like strangle it or something. I don't know. uh but there's just been so much of like corruption that we've all, you know like, I wasn't a part of that, but I heard about it. Like, it made me aware of it, where I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it's just so much, just like this not caring, this, like I said, it's like no respect for nature or what's real. I just saw a video. So the guy who was telling the story about the lady getting taken from the FBI, I'm pretty sure this is the same guy. I'm pretty sure, because it was a dark-skinned psych nurse. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy who was told that other story, which I'm so curious about the FBI coming and taking that lady when she's like, the FBI's after me, the FBI's after me. And they're like, okay, well, this is what y'all say when you come in. So nobody's paying her any mind. And, and then they show up and take her, and they wipe her, like they clean slated her. It's like, what does this woman know? Like, fuck. And look how they can just go into, like, the facilities, because the government has say over these facilities. That it's like this corporation and government is like one and the same. Oh yeah, in this video I had just seen this morning, this was really cool. And it was two different ones. One was showing like the state fair, and it was telling more stuff about that. And then it was like the next video I saw. So this was, okay, there was Admiral Byrd, and he went on a plane. This guy, and over the ice wall. And then this guy is William something, I think, and he's from the 1700s, and he was on a ship. And so they went up, and then he reached, the edge, because this is in his journals or something, I guess. And I can share this video. It was really cool, but it sounded legit. So it was the 1700s, and he was a ship, explorer. And so he had come up to the ice wall, and I don't know, it got caught in a current or something because they were trying to turn and go the other way or something, and got caught. And then it released him into like this, like an alleyway or something, because the ice wall isn't just totally solid. And so there's ways to maneuver through it, because everything is about these land masses and stuff. And I keep seeing more and more stuff like uh, there's, they found a new ocean. I'm telling you, it's realms and realities. This is what we are in. You got to get out of your mind all of this stuff. It's like they want to pull you into the physical. I mean, you got to pull yourself free from the physical. And so so this William fella, his ship goes through this alley thing, and they were like, oh, they were kind of worried and scared. And it was kind of weird looking, like the waters changed and stuff. And so then this big ship came, this big red ship, and it was blaring this horrible sounding horn. And so then I think they brought the captain onto the ship, and the two captains talked. And I won't be able to say all the stuff word for word and tell you the whole story like I just saw it. So I'll just give like a synopsis. So what ends up happening is that he talks to these people. They say they are the keepers of all the ancient lands. So they're the keeper. We are considered inner ice wall. And so they consider us in being inside the ice. We're in this containment, and they know that they start telling him. This is the 1700s. They start telling him about that they do resets on us. That he starts asking them, like, do I have anything to fear? And he said, where you have fear is the place you live. That's what you need to fear. And so we have. I don't remember all of the things he had said. If he had said, we keep trying to help you, but, like they can't get to us or something. But but we are run under tyrants who lie to us. And he said that they will bring us up through a certain part of civilization, and they get to a certain point with the technology, and then they reset it and start it over, in which that state fair thing. Because when you see that stuff, it's so absurd. The only reason they even say this story is so that they can make a reason for the photos and stuff. Like they couldn't hide, like they couldn't keep hiding all the history. Like everything keeps showing. And like this guy, so there's people who are like the keepers, and he said that everything is realms and realities. He said it too. And everything is realms and realities. And they gave him a map. This is where the flat earth map came from. And the map where they have all of these different places out there that are called like Jupiter and all these places. They're out, not out in the sky. They are outer. They are around us, but some it is on all different levels, because and you can be in the same space in different vibrations. And so that's why it's like realms and realities. And that's why when more that we disconnect from the physical, and the more that we connect to the metaphysical, the more that we can travel through the different realms by using portals or holes in frequency. And so it's like space that you can travel through to get to other places. And they're all around us. That's the thing. They're all around us. It's not like they're not there. This is where they're trying to keep people from knowing their reality. And that is what, this reset that they're trying to do fails. So they have reset a bunch of times. So if they have done all the resets, these people, since the beginning of time or something, I don't know. I just know in this reset, because there is these cycles in this reset, this is the changing of ages. They lose power. That's why I've said before, I don't know how long. When you look, you can see it is gone for such a long time. They're control, and they use the same games. Like if you go and you look way back, they were doing the same shit that they're doing now. And so it's like they like what that guy said is like they go a certain distance with us, they let us go a certain distance, but once we get to a certain point, they reset it, they kill everybody off, and they keep a certain amount to move forward, and then it's to start over. But I don't know. um because that can also, I think that there's resets and then there's resets. I think that they saw a long time ago that when a reset happens, when the earth changes position, that they saw that they I think they tried to follow a formula of resetting. I think, but I don't know, that's just how I perceive it or take it. So anyways, it is but both those videos were really interesting, and I totally think these worlds were so much different, and that there's going to be more and more shown. There's going to be more and more that's going to keep surfacing and giving us more about history. But the thing is you got to look at each history as its own set time. It was just that period. We don't have the links that people are looking for. There's missing links because it was done on purpose. And so that is, and to me, that just, yeah, because I swear to God, that boggled my young mind, is how we went from pyramids to where we are now. It was just like, this just doesn't make any sense. So, um, and just in the art and stuff, like what they used to do for what are those things, like statues or whatever. I think it's like they're made out of like marble or limestone or something, and they're so perfect. It's like, because probably it was all technology. It probably had some kind of like things. I don't know. I don't think that they really were just sitting there carving this thing for their whole entire life. And then some of these people made more than one of these statues and stuff. And some of these statues are um, really huge too, and so intricate. So, anyways, I just always question stuff like that. I always thought, okay, this doesn't make any sense. And so, and then, but it's just so weird when you try and tell people and they just don't want to question things. And this is something, okay, so right now, for one thing, on the Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively thing, is now there's this speculation is that Ryan is going to divorce her. This is all a PR thing to throw her under the bus to make her look bad because he's leaving her. And so this is people who are talking about that. The thing is on his other thing, when you go and listen to other people too, is that he just sold another business. So it wasn't just Mint Mobile. There was another technological thing he was invested in, and he sold it or something. So he's got all this big money, like billions or something, coming in. So that seems like, yeah, where you would want to divorce somebody before you got all your money. But I don't know, I mean, I know that, I don't know. This is just going to show more of people's true character. That's what everything is. It's like their true character. And it's so you can see your own true character, but some people are doing it very public, like I said, and I don't know, there's purpose to it. There's a reason. I think a lot of it has to do with, we can learn from it. So their humiliation turns into our education. But, we don't want to get caught up in judgment and being hateful and stuff like that. This is just their life playing out in a public format. So it helps us to, like, it probably is a really positive thing. And it's probably cleans up karma or something like. But anyways, so I don't know on all of these different things. It's so weird too. I'm just weirded out, like, because Blake Lively took all the focus off of Jennifer Aniston, because Jennifer Aniston would be on their hot seat being, fried up because of her thing with going and just being with guys who are with somebody else. But then there's also, I mean, because I already have heard him saying that, well, Blake Lively says her and Ryan Reynolds were best friends for a couple years, um, before they got married. That's why, she married her best friend and stuff. But then they're saying, well, that would have been interfering with Scarlett Johansson's relationship then, because you would have been being so close with him when she was trying to have a relationship with him. But I think Scarlett Johansson's marriage to him wasn't super long. And the word is that because he doesn't like his women to work or something, he doesn't want the competition. So I don't know. There's always more to the story, though. There's always more playing out, and there's just it's crazy. Like when somebody gets on the hot seat, it's like they get roasted, and people just dissect, and some people just get out there and just stomp on people. Like, I think it feels good to them to just go out and just stomp around on people. And it's kind of weird, is like, because do you not recognize that characteristic in yourself of being abusive then? Like, to want to cause pain to somebody else, to want to, kick them while they're down, hit them while they're down, spit on them, whatever. And so, and I know that, some people are noticing that in themselves, noticing that, because they'll say, well, I don't want to be jumping on and, making a dog pile here, but I want to share what I know. And so, that's your soul making you feel like, oh, God, I don't want to just be rude. I don't want to be hateful, but I still want to say what I want to say. So that is, what I think when you be mindful of what you're going to say and know, like, okay, so this may come and hit me in a different impact, so I've got to be aware that when I say this can hit different. Like everything that you say can hit different. It's going to hit different for different people too. So, because this is weird. It's so because of the topic of the movie and stuff. So all these women, like I said, it's like brought together huge amounts of women. And so you have all these women now who are talking about abuse and talking about their own abuse, talking about just this whole wave is going. And so I had commented on somebody's video, I don't even know, but then I had these two girls come in and they just can't even believe it. Like, how dare you say that somebody who's in domestic violence needs to have boundaries? Like, how dare you blame it on her? And then this other woman is like, I can't stand people like this coming in and saying this. I just can't even believe that she would talk like that and stuff. And I was just like, what in the hell? And so I'm going to say, my perspective and make it a little more clear. And so, as far as I'm concerned, and this comes from my own experience, my own learning, my own growing, my own healing. And I do have the awareness of the trap that a domestic violence situation can become, and how it's very easy to get tricked and to not see somebody's true character. But where you got to start realizing is how much you are blinding yourself to the true character. Like how much, especially women, but I think all people do this, but I know women do, is like, well, I want him to like me because I like him, so I just won't say anything. If he does that, I just won't say anything. I'll just laugh it off. Oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. So it is like there's a desperation trigger, and it can be for whatever different reason. Maybe it's like the best looking guy I've ever seen. Maybe it's the first guy who ever smiled at me. Maybe it's the guy who wrote poems to me. And when the guy who you really liked, keeps asking you to tell him that you like, I don't know, things are twisted. So, anyways, where we find safety or comfort, and being vulnerable is very difficult. When somebody else is just pouring themselves on you, then it's it is easier. But then you got to see, like, why are you pouring yourself on me? What's going on here? Because when somebody is pouring themselves on you, it's not healthy. And in all of these different cases, that you end up, when you heal and you go backwards, you find like boundaries were the problem. And then in the gaslighting book, and it hit me when I was reading it, because it was like, you don't want to face this. You want to think, when you are being abused, you want to think like, oh, you just got the fucking bad end of the draw, man. You're such a good person. And then you you ended up with the abusive one. And it's like, damn it. And all these other girls, they just got a good one, because it was just the luck of the draw, man. But when you go through it more, and you live the life of it, and then you heal from it, then you see that it is you are the one who is lacking boundaries. And so when I was reading the gaslighting book, that is where I really started seeing, like, oh, I play a part in this. Like, I do this, I do that. And that's where they get space to do what they do. It's because I've got this broken part of me. And so, in the gaslighting book I wrote, I liked the way they did it, because it did show, like, some women will do this. If somebody does this, some women will do this. So make excuses, put their own self aside, like, okay, well, he probably didn't do that. He probably really meant it different and stuff like that. Well, there's another group of women who don't take it that way. It's like, no, fuck off. And don't let somebody push them. And so that group of women aren't going to be abused like the group of women who are letting somebody write their story for them. And so, in not every, like, there's all different types of abuse. I mean, there's people who are just mean, just say mean things to you, and just beat you down and beat you down and beat you down. They don't have to, backhand you to abuse you. There's people who ignore you, and then if you need something outside of being ignored, then you're the problem. So, and there's so many people who feel like they're the problem. So then they let this person write their story for them and make them into the problem. And so when I read the gaslighting book, and I started seeing, like, oh, because I go in and I make excuses for these people, then that opens the door for them to just continue this pattern as far as they'll take it. And so you have the signs beforehand. It's just that some of us don't want to recognize those signs. There's something else we're wanting instead. And a lot of times, I mean, there's also the thing of, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Or, they really like me and I don't want to be mean. Like, there's all different things. So it's not just like one lesson out there. There's only one lesson that you're going to learn from this. Like, everybody's got different things that they're trying to heal in themselves and learn for themselves. But in my case, I could see, like, when I was reading that book, I was like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't have said that. And, like, no, I would have felt, like, really uncomfortable, like, to stand out, like, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say that. I could see where I kept taking the submissive role when I was reading that book. And so then I was like, that's why some girls don't get abused, is because they set a boundary. And then, for lots of us, we were abused, from the time we were little. Like, boundaries were an issue. And, you are told, like, it's important to teach your child to have boundaries. And some people want to beat their children down and make it like you submit, submit, submit. And so, it's very uncomfortable then to stand up for yourself because you're trained from the beginning to submit, to do what you're told. And so it's important, as I said, there's certain key factors in a child's development of choice and consequences, and building them up with boundaries of knowing their worth. So you can't beat them down and then put them out in society. There's always somebody who's going to take advantage. There's always somebody who's, looking. There's parasites all around us. So we have to put kids out into the world that feel good about themselves, because that sets you more in a pattern of having a happier life, not full of people taking advantage of you and beating you down and stuff like that. So the so for me, when I started like seeing and putting it all together, like going and looking at my past and stuff, and that's one thing too, like I had all girls, and that is like the thing that can disappoint them so much, is seeing me be such a wuss, like just letting guys walk all over me and stuff. But you don't realize like you're just letting people walk all over you when you're the person being walked on. And it doesn't feel like that. It feels very different. And that's why healing is the way, pulling yourself up out of there. So you do have to pull yourself out of there. And I'm not saying like every woman, who is being abused, because the abuse gets worse and worse and worse. It builds upon itself. That abuse can get so, so bad. There's women who are terrorized. There's whole families terrorized by people. These terrorists, have they're creating a tyrannical situation in their households. There's people who go through horrible, horrible stuff. And on some level, that's that soul group. They are learning this stuff. Like, we don't have control of it. We can't run around stopping everything and stuff. It's all the people, like the crises, the things that we go through, set us in a tone for us to overcome. It's like a tone, like a bell tone, and it sets your tone. But it's like you have to. It's like you can, like you can lower it or you can raise it from your circumstance. So it's up to you. Oh, look, Mr. Little. He's going to get another drink. Let's see if you can see him. He's got to have that little wrap thing around. So I don't know how long I'll have to keep it on him. Hopefully he'll catch on pretty quick to stop peeing in the house. But I don't know. He could be traumatized. Because when I went, so I took Stella and Max to go out to get him. And it was a long drive. And I drove the back way through the mountains and stuff. So I was just like, it was only going to save 10 minutes to get on the freeway anyways. But anyways, so I just took the long drive and took the dogs and stuff. So we got out there and I took them, and, and especially people who are rescuing pugs, little tiny dogs. And Stella comes walking up. It's like, oh, she's a big one. And so I took her in this, they had a front gated thing. And so I took her in there. And then she was like, I think she went and got Morty and brought him out. And she said, oh, she's just not even paying much attention. I said, yeah, she's not the problem. Yeah, she loves little dogs. It's like not all little dogs love her. It's like a lot of dogs are very reactive to big dogs. And so I said, that's the problem. It's not her. She is bossy and a bully, and that is also, and Max, he's just like very submissive, like she says, and she's very opinionated. Like, she's good at training. Like, she knows when I'm talking about her. She's such a, oh God, I love this girl. And and he already has done some growls, like, but he also has to be able to growl and, to set boundaries for himself. He can't just be like, not have any boundaries. Like, Max has growled at Stella before. But, anyways, it's just when they always think like, oh, the big dog, that's the problem. It's like, no, the little dogs get very reactive. to a big dog, and they are so bitey. They're so bite, bite, bite. And Stella has been attacked by lots of little dogs. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say, it couldn't happen, because any dog can come running out from nowhere and attack, like any kind, a German Shepherd, a Pit Bull, a mix, anything. And it has, they try and keep making like it's all these certain breeds. Well, fucking Chihuahuas are mean as motherfucker. Dachshunds are mean as motherfucker. Go see how many people like who are all getting mangled faces too, or getting bit by little dogs. It's not just big dogs. Like, they really are trying to push this in the news about all these people being mauled by their pets and killed by their pets, and their pets are killing their kids and all this stuff. Which, I mean, everything is out of control. Everything is going to be being experienced. And there's like, but you got to see, like, some of these are these soul groups having these experiences, and it's like the experience reverberates out, so that we get to learn from all these experiences, because we're at this really big time of this, like, huge learning, this is this quantum leap of education, of us knowing and understanding. And so it's all this big jump into it's like going from one thing to a completely other. It's like the coin flipping over. It's like the lights coming on. All those things are representative of what is occurring right now. And up until now, it's felt slow, like this really slow. But to me, that is like the universe kind of like blinking the lights off and on before they come on. It's like it's all in preparation. Like, this has all been like turning the sails. It's like the winds of change. And for them to all of a sudden, now there's a new ocean. And I heard somebody talking about that. I can find the video about that. It was like, oh, did you know they discovered a new ocean? It's like, well, they're going to keep on discovering more and more things, because it's all these things that have been hidden from us. They probably know about so much of the stuff that is, they purposely have tried to hide it. But the universe is like, you would think of like it being in our favor. That's why all these people are like, God is doing this and stuff. It's like this, it's an energy, like the energy that you think of as God, the good, the creator, the nature, that energy of the positive influence, that is, we're going out of the darker and more into the light. And that was one thing too that I even said to those girls who were saying that. It was like, I'm speaking of my own experience. And yeah, lack of boundaries is, I don't remember what I said to them, but I had said it goes dark to light. That is what we are doing. We're going from dark, not seeing things, into the light. And if we want to have our relationships change, it isn't just a crapshoot. You're not just ending up with an abuser. It's like on a lot of different levels. It's part of your lessons. The lessons have to do with you learning how to take care of yourself and love yourself, which includes having boundaries. And so your lack of boundaries will get you into these relationships where people don't treat you in a positive way. And then the more that energy can build, it can go so much more toxic, like where you have, I mean, but we have family annihilation that doesn't even come from abusive situations. Like right now, you have people who are freaking out. They're trying to get to heaven. They're trying to, you have a lot of religious people thinking we're going to the tribulation. They got to save their families. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the whole thing. That's why there's a certain sense of seeing the overall in observation, but don't get all caught up, because it's so draining. It's so sad. There's so many tragedies, so many sad things happening as all these storylines play out. But keep in mind, it's just the storyline. It's just a movie. It's just their movie playing out. Once they leave, they just go back to, wherever they go back to, honestly. They go back to a different area, a vibration, different planet, a different realm, a different wherever. It's, it's not just one set thing. It's like the galaxy, the universe, the solar system, whatever you want to think of in this elaborate scheme of things. There's a lot of different places to go, and souls go all different places. And this is just like I'm hearing headquarters, but I don't think it's like a headquarters, but maybe it is. Maybe that is. This is a headquarters for a learning center or something. Because I know that a lot of the other places that you go don't have the challenges. Maybe it is that this is like the headquarters for learning or something. But that's what this place is all about. This place is about learning and growing, and it has so much to do with how you see yourself. And it's when you very first are, coming out into the world looking to go out and date and stuff, and then you go out with somebody you really like them, you think they're so great, and they do something shitty, and then you just blow it off because, well, you want them to like you. And then that builds. See, that was your sign. That was your sign that, well, this person's kind of shitty. And, do I want to be, like, what, am I going to be with a shitty person even if they say they like me? It's just all of this, like, moral conflict, really, when it comes down to it. Because when I went back and looked at my old relationships, there was, like, sign after sign after sign. Like, go the other direction. But, you're going to go in the direction that you're meant to go. But that doesn't mean that the signs aren't there. That the signs aren't there. That's where you look back. That's where you have to face yourself. It's like, fuck, the signs were there, man. Oh, damn. Like, even the night before I married the first one, a guy called who went, and it was always, I was probably Dickie trying to stop me. And I still, like, my mom said that I kept on referring to it as D-Day at my wedding. It was like D-Day. She said, I knew I should have stopped you. But you can't stop somebody when they're in the full trajectory of their lessons. Like, your lessons are going to come. You're always where you're supposed to be. There's no woulda, shoulda, coulda. You go through what you're supposed to go through. But what you came here to experience is what you experience. And at any point in time, when you evolve in your consciousness of understanding and thinking and become more proactive, then that was always going to occur at that time. It wasn't going to happen before. I wouldn't know what it should have, could I, if I would have figured it out sooner. It doesn't go that way. You always have where it's going to happen is where it's going to happen. When it's going to happen is when it's going to happen. And you can sit there and try and force it. Well, if I just do this, if I just think this, if I just try this, this will happen, that will happen. No, it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. You can't make things happen. And you can't make things happen to confirm to you that they're going to happen. You got to just trust your own gut and your own instincts. And you've got to be more familiar with them. Like, when you are not being familiar with the signs, and you're ignoring the signs when they are clearly telling you a different direction to go, and you keep saying, no, come on, this is going to be great. And then you go in the direction you want. And yeah, there's going to be lessons. But when you go through your healing, you can go back and you can see. I've heard it. This isn't just me. I've heard it from other people. Just like, oh my God, I had all these signs telling me not to do this and I still did it. Because we're supposed to do it. And then we're supposed to acknowledge the signs. That's a part of our curriculum of being able to begin to manage or understand the communication that we have with our guides and how they're trying to assist us through this process. Because and the more I hear people talking and stuff like that, if I've ever people say, like, you're assigned like a whole team of guides, you come into your birth with a team. And I know, like I've said, like, I've been talking to people my whole life. And that is what that one, so the psych nurse now, so the new one he's talking about, was tripping him out is a girl who came in, and she's in some sort of psychotic break. And so he said that she was acting really strange, and she kept giggling and staring at him and stuff. And I have said, you know, like, I'll sit and just start laughing because you're always talking. They're always talking. And so she kept laughing. So when he was saying that, I was like, because she's like, because they're saying stuff. And, and so he started talking to her. And so she started saying, um, she started telling him about his stuff. She knew his mom's name. She knew where his mom was from. She knew his grandma's name. And he was tripping out. His people at work don't even know his personal business. So he was tripping out. He was thinking, are we cousins or something? And she started saying, no, the people I talked to were telling me. And so in the comments, people were like, oh, she's gifted. I went in to say, yeah, I've been talking to him since I was little. Even when I became a psych nurse, I kept trying to get the people to understand, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. This is real. There's real stuff. Wherever realm you got yourself locked in. And I was some of these people, I think, from their own insecurities and doubts, and them get themselves locked into these dark realms. Are really abusive kind of spirits, like they're mean. And so they will beat people down, like in the thing of like where people think of like demons and stuff. So these certain spirits can be really abusive and mean. So these people are really in these worlds. This isn't just, you know, well, everything is supposedly in your mind, but it is just weird because it's like all of our minds are here together having an experience that reflects off of everyone else's. So it's not just in our mind, but how we see things is just like, it's so complex. But the but anyways, so the people in the comments were saying like she was gifted, and then I saw another part where he was saying that he was asking her, and she was saying this was her, they were trying to show her, they were trying to tell her that she was supposed to talk to him and ask him. So they're trying to show her that they are real and that they aren't not real. And so there was more and stuff in the story. And then he also said there's this guy called the schizophrenic hippie, and that guy is very interesting to follow because he films things. So like if he sees a hallucination, then he will film it. And so then he will see, like, if he sees what he sees, but see, it's all in different realms. And all this stuff is real. I just think that we would have a lot less schizophrenia if we had a lot more people understanding the spiritual, metaphysical world that we exist in. So that to me is what is the true awakening. That's what we're really awakening to. That's what we're opening our minds to. We're opening our minds to everything. It's the all. It's the everything. Everything is so expansive. And so everything in the weight, the chain that holds you down, that holds you back from the all expansiveness of what is real, is this concept of flesh and blood and physical and death. All those things will hold you back. So the more that you can work on your programming to release those things so that you can take advantage of, being eternal and having having more of an understanding of how you see things is how things become. So if you see yourself as a victim, then your world and your life will show you what it is to be a victim. If you see yourself as I'm hearing scholar, and but it's like you have to live the life of that, what you seek to be. And if you feel insecure over what it is that you see, the vision, if that brings up insecurities, it's because that is what you need to heal to get to the place to be how you see yourself. So there's like an internal vision of self, but a lot of people can't imagine themselves to be able to be what it is that they can be, so they hold themselves back. and through, doubt. There's a lot of things. And so, but it all goes into this like victim mentality, and that's why it's so important to move into empowerment. And even if I'm wrong, even if I'm wrong about the domestic violence thing, to me, it's way better in any situation to find your power, empower you. You're the only thing that can make the change. You sit there for fucking decades waiting for this person to change. They're not going to change. And then, as a matter of fact, they're only going to build up and get worse and worse and worse. And how can you get away other than taking the steps to get away, risking it all, going all in? And so you are the one who has to, make the change however far you get into it. That's the whole thing with everything we have going on right now, is however far you got yourself into the mess. Because that's going to be the same thing with the aging. When people all of a sudden realize like aging isn't real. I mean, I just, started just not doing stuff and not taking care of myself. And this is how far I've gotten. It's going to be like that same thing of like, man, that 10 pounds, that first 10 pounds when I had to lose the first 10 pounds of my life, I was like, that is the fucking hardest thing I've ever done. Like, oh, I couldn't believe it. And so that is going to be, people are going to be facing things that they just had no idea how hard it was going to be to go the other direction. They just let it go too far one way. And that is the same thing, in the abusive things too. Like the very first time that some shenanigans go, that's fucking exit Q. Get the fuck out. And, don't go in deeper because it's only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And cops aren't there for you. They don't give a fuck. I couldn't even believe yesterday, like driving back on these country roads, you know how many fucking cops I passed? It was absurd. I was like, it's one thing, when you're out on the freeway and every fucking couple miles they put up your goddamn, your thing starts telling you there's a speed trap ahead. And then you're out here driving on these fucking country highways, one fucking lane, twisting through fucking shit. And the thing is they get you is that they do these, the speed traps nonstop. Go 50, go 55, go 40, go 30, go 25. It's just like all over the place. That's the thing that's annoying when you're driving. And you go through these different towns and stuff. But you remember, every little fucking town has different realities. And you start really realizing that and start looking at things and realizing and how we move around to different realities and how we become a part of our reality and stuff. Then you start, it's just a different level, I think, than how other people look at things. But I just couldn't even believe how many cops were out there on a Sunday afternoon putting radar the whole fucking way. I was like, this is so fucking absurd. These motherfuckers, you got nothing better to do than come out here and harass the citizens who are trying to do stuff. You've got no crimes going on, no problems. You don't have fucking homeless encampments going up everywhere, people being just nonstop taken out. Like they've even got in some places now, the instigators have got themselves set up with Amazon shit, and they're going around pretending to be Amazon people and busting into houses and taking out people. Like, take your daughters, like whatever. They're here to wreak havoc. They're here to turn us against these other people. That is one thing through their patterning of all these resets, is they get different cultures, different colors to go up against each other. And that is why we've got to see. There's even speculation now that some of these people who are getting all of this money, because there's not just this one receipt now, there's other ones. Like, there's lots of different stories coming out where these people are getting these cards loaded, these people coming from other places are getting handed cards like $10,000. And so that's really pissing off the people who are out there losing their homes and all this stuff. It's all supposed to go this way, but you got to look through past what it is they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to divide on this stuff. And so there's people saying, like, is this their Nasara, that they're getting this already? And, but the thing is like the universe gives you these things, like these pairings, so that the can come to the surface. But it's like you got to look deeper into it. Like, what do we want as humans? As humans, we want freedom. We want to be able to, all of us have everything we need. And where, in the, liberty and life and whatever, all the freedom to choose life how we want to live it. And like what I was going to say, though, about the dogs in the communities and stuff, is like in a step down kind of way, of having different communities take a certain amount of dogs, and then for everybody to take responsibility. It's like, how much food gets thrown away in houses? So fucking much food gets thrown away. And then they go down and buy bags of fucking cardboard, feed their dogs. Well, that, powers the vet bills, doesn't it? So if everybody just took the food that they thought is rotten in their fridge, the food that they didn't eat that night, and everybody set it out, and all these different animals, would have things to eat, like there wouldn't be a big crisis. They would just go out and sleep, and if we had other shelters and stuff out, so animals could find shelter. We don't have to have them all come into our homes or something, but we've got to do something, like, as we shift out of this toxic thing that we created, trying to make pets so that we could have subservient animals that loved us and do what we're told, and then so much abuse has come from that. So I mean, there's still, at this time, there's still motherfucking busting dog and rooster. Probably donkey shows too. Like, I can't even believe the amount of bestiality we got going. There's like, people just abuse, abuse. Just don't have any conscious thought of another living soul. Another living soul having any kind of importance or purpose for its life, other than for you to, disregard it. That's the soul stuff. That's the stuff you're going to go in and see for yourself. That's the kind of stuff that people, are going to find a lot of pain when they start realizing how they've disregarded and have not had respect. And so there's just a lot. And it's going to be abrupt. It's going to be quick. I think it's going to be just the same as, like, think of it right now as the coin is spinning. When we're seeing the dark and the light, it's just spinning and spinning and spinning, and it's spinning our heads around. There's so much going on, and everybody's talking about this, but what about this? But what about this? And yeah, well, what about this? Because, I mean, like, the different conversations, they just are like a fucking roller coaster. Like, you even go back to the gypsy, any of these things, it's a fucking roller coaster. And then some things, they just become so highlighted that they forget to even talk about the things that they were arguing about a few weeks ago. But so all of this stuff is like this coin spinning and spinning, that is going to fall, and it's going to fall in the light. That's the thing. It's going to be, the light is where we go. And it's like, we already know we're going heads, like, it's already set. So, but right now it's in the spin, but it's going to be abrupt. When it goes down, it's going to be abrupt. And that's what's going to be like a moment of silence. It's gonna be impactful, whatever's gonna go down. So anyways, we'll see how it goes. We're starting another week. It's the third week. What is this, the third week? Or I don't know, I think August maybe even has 5 weeks. Maybe we're in the fourth week of fucking August. And while I was driving, there was leaves, there was already trees changing. I don't know. They're fucking around something with the seasons, time. It's all fuckery. So anyways, you just gotta let go of it all. You just gotta let go of it all, because it doesn't really, it's all fuckery. It's all just a bunch of fucking Truman Show shit. So just remember, what you're doing here is learning how to love yourself, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's up to you. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.